Today we're going to, I'm going to teach you how to make hard apple cider. And basically it's a very simple fermentation process. We've got apple cider, raw apple cider. It's 100% juice. There's no preservatives in this. So it was found in the refrigerated section, and it says 100% juice. So we're going to ferment directly in this gallon jug. And we're going to need to decant off some of the apple cider, because as we add the yeast, there's going to be foaming and metabolism and krausen will form. So we don't want to have a big mess later. We're also going to need just a single balloon, not sanitized or anything, just a balloon, and some brewer's yeast. This is a typical Chico strain. Sierra Nevada yeast, and this package alone is good for 5 gallons. We're only doing 1 gallon, but it doesn't hurt to overpitch, so I'm going to use half the package. All right, here's how it works. First, we want to save this cap for later, so take it off and set it aside. I was just going to get this rim up here. There, we'll discard this part. And I'm going to pour off some of this apple juice and just put it back in the fridge. Now this apple juice is room temperature. I let it warm up to room temperature before I started this project. I'm going to take some of this out, and I'll just drink it later. So I'm going to put it in this reused jar. Here we go. A little bit more just to be on the safe side. Now I'm going to do several videos of this batch right here. So I'm going to put this in the fridge. I'll put this back in the fridge later, and I'll drink this later. So then basically all you need to do is one good idea is to shake it up a bit with this oxygen in here, so that the apple juice has a little bit of oxygen for the yeast to reproduce. So just shake it around. Try to get some of that oxygen into solution. Just like that. Then we're still going to save the cap. Then all you have to do is pour some of your yeast in. So I'm going to use half this pack. I'm going to save the other half for another batch later. But you could get away with 1/5 of this pack for this volume of apple juice. So just pour your yeast right in the top. That should be plenty. So I know I'm just going to fold this over. I'm going to tape this up and put it back in the fridge in a Ziploc baggie, and it should stay fine. So I'm going to set this aside. And the last step, really, is you just need to take a party balloon, any kind of balloon, a thin balloon, and just go ahead and just pierce it. So, you know, there's a little gap there. Now this is basically just going to keep flies and microbes. We're going to drink this juice within a week. So this is really not about being sanitary. It's just about keeping, you know, flies out. So just place your balloon over the top like this. So this is about 2.5 days after I pitched the yeast, and you can tell that there is a foaming krausen of yeast on top, and it's hard to see through, but it's actively bubbling and fermenting inside here, you can see. So this is coming along just fine. This hard cider is going to come along just fine. The balloon is slightly inflated, but the CO2 that's outgassing has a chance to get through the holes that I perforated. All right, let's get a close-up here. So you can see with this close-up, see all the little bubbles? That's all CO2. That's all a byproduct of fermentation. And what the yeast are doing in there is they're converting the simple sugars, fructose and glucose, into ethanol and CO2. Now, on day 4, I have temporarily removed the balloon to show you how an active ale yeast krausen appears. Well, here we are, and it's about 16 days later than when we first pitched the yeast into the raw apple cider. And as you can see, the balloon is now deflated. There's really not any fermentation going on, and you can even see that the cider itself has cleared considerably just by gravity and the process of fermentation. So at this point, you're done. You can drink this. 16 days after, we can just go ahead and take your cap that you saved, and I'll recap this. There we go. Put it in the refrigerator and let it chill out, and then just start serving yourself with glasses of hard apple cider. And I hope you enjoy. Now, you can stop here, or I'm going to go on and actually make this a little more complicated. I'm going to put it into bottles, and I'm even going to flavor it with some raw blackberries that I picked earlier this morning. So if you want to stick around for part 2, I'll be here. So cheers. One thing I didn't go into, because I wanted to keep this process as simple as possible and with as little science involved, because it's a natural process and it works by itself. But one thing I didn't go into was taking a hydrometer reading. So we now have our finished cider, and I have a hydrometer here, and I also have what I use. There's many different ways to get the cider out of the jug, but I'm going to use this 2-ounce syringe. And that's just enough to get this hydrometer filled. So bear with me, and I want to take a hydrometer reading to see how this actually finished out. That's my dog in the background. And so I take out about this much. As you can see, I take out about this much cider. I put my lid back on my cider here, and then I just plunger it. I just plunger it into the hydrometer vial itself. Yep, that's my dog in the background. So it's a little warm now, but let's see what we got. I'm gonna drop the hydrometer in. Let's see, check this out. Here, let's see. Yeah, see, this cider is completely fermented. We're at 1.0, and that's what I had expected. That's totally what I expected. We're at 1.000, which is the same as water. It's actually even less, because apple cider, it ferments completely to alcohol. There's no residual sugars left. So once it's done, it's dry, super dry. This is basically what's called a farmhouse cider, and this is a super dry. So let's see. I'll give it a little taste. I'll let you know what it tastes like. Here goes. Cheers. Well, it's quite delicious. It has a lot of bubbles actually still, even though we're almost 80 degrees here, or 75 degrees in my house right now, and we're in the summertime. but there are still a lot of bubbles in solution, and that'll happen because just the latency of CO2 that stays in solution. So it's effervescent. It's not sour, but it definitely tastes like apples and alcohol, and it tastes really good. So I'm gonna finish this up. Cheers. I'm half tempted just to drink this jug. Okay, on to the complicated part. Well, here's the experimental part, and I guess the fun part for me, because I've never done this second stage before, which is I'm going to add some raw blackberry juice to my cider in the bottles, and then I'm going to decide how I'm going to stop them from blowing up, because there's going to be a little more sugar in there. Hopefully it will carbonate in the bottle with the raw juice. So this is alcohol in cider by the numbers. Basically, I took a measurement before we started, and the raw juice was 1.045 specific gravity, and then I just took a final gravity measurement, and it was basically 0.995. So the alcohol by volume right now of this hard apple cider is, estimated at 6.6%. So I'm thinking that even if I'm going to add the raw juice directly to the cider, I'm going to be okay, because the alcohol is going to really, well, there's no sugar really left to eat, and the alcohol is going to be mostly devoid of oxygen, so we're not going to get vinegar. So, and I think that the high alcohol here, 6.6%, will kill most any pathogens that maybe have landed on my on the raw berries. So hold on, let me go get those. All right, so here are the raw blackberries that I picked alongside the road this morning. It took me about an hour, and you can see I've got some. Now I have no idea what's going to happen here, because I've never done this before, but what I'm going to do is try to juice these raw blackberries and then add them to this hard apple cider in another jug, kind of like a secondary fermenter, and then immediately from this I'm going to bottle into some of these really cute little 175 milliliter 6.3 fluid ounce. I think they're a champagne sampler bottle I got from More Beer or something, some homebrew place, and they were used. I already cleaned these up, but they're very thick glass, so if I do get a lot of fermentation and a lot of bubbles, I believe this glass can handle a lot of pressure too, and it's a small volume, so I'm pretty safe to say I'm going to try to add as much blackberry juice to the cider as possible. I collected this morning, and they are sweet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to empty them into this, and I don't know the name of this device, but it works great for pomegranate seeds. So let me toss this away. But right here, I want you to see I got this conical shaped colander, and check this. Yeah, you can see that there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try juice. All right, so after the first press through that triangular colander, I got a lot of it's almost a jam consistency from those blackberries, and it's actually pretty tart. So we'll see, but yum. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to pour it into my strainer here that I've got set up. I've got two different types of paint straining bags set up here. I'm just going to take this raw, almost It's like a molasses, almost like syrup. And I'm going to fill. Okay. Sorry if I get in your way here, but this is just a kitchen chore. There's no great art here, but the process is interesting. We'll see what happens. Pretty tasty, and yes, there is sugar in there, so how much I'm not sure yet. Let's set this down way back here. Alright, so let's see what it looks like. Yeah, we got this. We got some juice already, see? I got 2 paint strainer bags and it's basically 2 cups of juice like puree. I'm gonna just kind of pull this up. I did actually sanitize the bag with boiling water, so I wasn't like completely dirty here. But the berries are absolutely raw and unwashed. So this is the experimental fun part. I'm just kind of twisting up both bags at the same time. And you can see juices are flowing. What I'm trying to do is try to keep any of the large plant particles out, like the seeds, whatever seeds got through that colander, and whatever little hairy flower fibers are going to stay inside of both of these bags. And all I need to do is get enough volume to replace some of what we poured out at the beginning of this experiment. But basically what I did was I squeezed the bag of blackberries with gloves on, and I got quite a bit of juice. And it measures up to about 400 milliliters, which is equivalent of approximately 13.5 ounces of blackberry juice. That's pretty good. There's a top film on it that's kind of foamy, but the rest of it's real blackberry juice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into this gallon jug. So I'm going to check the camera real quick. Here we go. You can see that. Yes, you can see that. Oh, and interesting enough, I did measure the sweetness of the blackberry juice, or the specific gravity, with my refractometer, and I got a reading of approximately 1.630. So the blackberry juice has quite a lot more sugar content than even the apple juice did originally. So that was interesting. All right, well, I put a towel on the bottom of this bucket so that I could tilt the jug, so that because I want to be able to strain this top film off, and I don't want to make a lot of splashing when I go into the jug. So here goes. I am holding back the foam. That's good, you can see. Oh, oops. That I didn't want to do. It's okay, I'll clean up later. So, left all the foam, and still a little juice, but not bad. So, stuff here. Now, our blackberry. And how am I going to get the cider in there? Well, I'll figure that out too. I'm going to put the blackberry down here on this folding table. Let's see what I got here. Put that down. Now. All right. Hydrometer. I'm going to take the juice. And I'm going to use an auto siphon. I've already rinsed this thing out, sanitized it too. So I'm going to put one end of the auto siphon into the, basically down to the bottom as far as I can get it. The second one in my hard apple cider. Make sure I'm in down here. There, I started it. Nope, I gotta do it again. There we go. So now, I know I'm all sideways here. You can see I'm filling. So here's the bottling process. I know down here I have about 20 of those small glass bottles. You can see, yes, small bottles. And I'm going to attempt to start the siphon and then fill into the bottles. So I'm going to have to hold this tube down so it's tight. Here goes. I'm going to start the siphon. There we go. We're filling. So, first bottle. Oop, fast too. That's good. Put this in the next bottle. Bottle number 1 is nearly done. Sanitizer. Why? Man, this stuff is fizzy already. Hey. There. You get that? What do you think? What do you think? Blackberry hard cider. Hard apple cider. Right there. That's bottle 1. Let's see what we can do out of this. There's one. I did want to mention I like the way the bottle capper leaves this little ring. I think if these get too carbonated, this cap will dome out before the bottle goes. So, all right. Well, I got 18 of these 6.3 ounce champagne splits out of that gallon of apple cider plus blackberry juice. So there's a little bit left over. I'm going to cap this and actually chill it, but I'm going to give you this will be it for me for now. I'm going to have a sip. It's pretty warm. Still got bubbles in it. Definitely taste the alcohol. A little bit of a thickness from the blackberry too, so I think these are going to be quite a treat. That's how you make 1 gallon of blackberry hard apple cider.